of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee. It's the George Plaster Show, featuring Tennessee Sports Hall of Famers Kelly Holcomb and young gun Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in. It is a beautiful, and I mean beautiful, Thursday afternoon in Nashville. Boy, the weather could not be nicer. It is that good. Enjoy it. May not last. Weekend doesn't look all that good. Weekend looks like a lot of rain. Imagine that.
Have we not had enough rain already?
Yes. But you'll get to July and you won't see a drop, and your yard will look like Steiner Liff, and then you'll be begging for it.
Look like what?
Steiner Liff.
I think ever since you started saying that, I still don't know.
Well, look it up.
All right.
Look it up. Let's go to Murfreesboro. Kelly, he needs to look it up.
There's a lot of things Billy needs to look up. He needs to grow up and look it up.
By the way, a good friend of mine told me to tell you to lighten up on Billy.
Well, when Billy starts doing things right, I'll lighten up on Billy.
Wow. Billy, your reaction.
What exactly am I not doing right?
I don't know. There's something you do wrong every day, Billy. So, I mean, we could just pick it. The other day, though, I was proud of you because you were sweating bullets and you did a good job of getting us back on. And you do a good job about that. You really do.
Mitigating disasters.
You are good mitigating disasters.
Finding a way. I mean, last Monday I was on by phone.
Because guess what? If George and I had to do that, we would crumble.
There would be no hope.
None.
There would be no hope.
Absolutely none. Billy, as you know, by the way, for those of you who are wondering today, we are going everywhere. We're going first to Knoxville. Adam Sparks is going to join us with this ridiculous story about how the commissioner has threatened Tennessee and Vandy with expulsion. Ooh, yeah, I got some thoughts on that. Then Hugh Greenfield, he will report not once, not twice, but 3 times today from Spring Fling up in Murfreesboro. We have reporters everywhere. Yes. And we'll go to Birmingham. Yeah, Harrison Fant will join us from SEC Unfiltered to tell us what's going on with the SEC baseball tournament. Both Tennessee and Vanderbilt playing today. And Billy, that leads us to, surely to God, you have something in this update.
Excuse me?
Surely.
Do you have any?
Surely to God.
Do you have anything in your update?
Yeah.
Okay. I'd love to hear that.
You might not get a paycheck next week.
You're going there?
Yeah, why not? What the heck?
It seems to be a common trend.
Common theme these days, yeah.
Lori Burnett Leland brings us I was going to say bet of the day. Not yet. The update.
There's one mistake already, Billy.
So you're a little rattled right now, aren't you?
I'm not rattled.
You've taken on some water. You didn't know what Lori was sponsoring, or
y'all two need to shut up. That's what I'll say.
And Billy, you have to understand something too. That whether we make fun of George all the time, he still holds the red pen, Hoss, and he still writes your check. So you gotta tread lightly. What
happened to my leverage? I thought Kelly used to say I've got all the leverage.
You do have all the leverage, but you don't know how to use it. So now it's tear you down time.
So,
all right. Anyway, getting to the update, brought to you by Lori Burnett Leland.
Right. It's good you know that.
Yes. You can give her a call, 615-969-4350, or log on to her website. That's mortgagelady.com. All right, some sad news. As you heard at the top of the hour, the Colts owner, Jim Irsay, passed away peacefully in his sleep yesterday at the age of 65. He'd been leading the team since 1997. His oldest daughter, Carly, is seen as the most involved in team operations, so she will take his place, and she took his place during his suspension in 2014 after his DWI arrest. His health came under scrutiny when he was hospitalized after first responders found him unresponsive in his bedroom in 2023. Prayers up to the Irsay family.
Kelly, I know you knew him. Everything I hear is that he was an incredibly generous human being.
Incredibly generous. He would give everything to guys. Now, I don't remember. I thought he took over because I was there from 96 to 2000. And he was always the guy that was there. I don't, I know you said 97, Billy, but yeah, he was very giving of everything that he had. He always wanted things for the players. Now, you didn't see him much. I didn't see him much. I'm sure Peyton saw him a lot more than I did, but like he allowed his guys to do their jobs, and he kind of stayed in the background, but he was generous with his money, and there's no question about that. And if there was something going on, you knew he had your back.
The one of the stories that I read about him indicated that he just did not have the heart to call Peyton Manning in for a meeting to say, we're releasing you.
Oh, that's hard, man. Just think about that. That guy kind of built that organization. Like,
Yeah.
they had moved, and, they came back, and then I can remember when we went to Baltimore for the first time, and there was a guy behind our stand saying, give us our stuff back. And I'm like, oh my God, well, like, what is this dude doing? But, he was willing to give of himself. There's no question about that. Now, I know he had some demons and all that, but he was, when I was around him, man, he was jacked. He was always working out, and he was jacked. But
Right.
when my wife told me that yesterday, that's really a sad story, because he was 65 years
I
old.
know.
That's not very old.
No.
And for that to happen, man, it's I'm sure there'll be a lot of people at his funeral, and he did a lot of good things for the community and for the Colts organization. There's no question.
All right, an interesting college football story from earlier today. The college football playoff is going to a new straight seeding model. The 12-team playoff will look different. Now, there's still 12 teams. Maybe it won't look totally different, but it'll feel different seeding-wise. The 10 FBS commissioners and Notre Dame AD Pete Bavacqua, who comprised the management committee, reached the unanimous agreement necessary to make this change. So to lay it out, this past season, the 4 highest-ranked conference champs earned the top 4 seeds.
And they no longer will.
Yes. Now, independent Notre Dame is eligible to earn a first-round bye if they are ranked in the top 4. That was a hang-up we talked about, and sort of a kind of a stick in the mud for Notre Dame that they couldn't receive a first-round bye. All 4 teams that earned a first-round bye in the 12-team playoff last year lost their first game, if you remember.
Yeah.
The 5 highest-ranked conference champs will still be guaranteed spots in the 12-team field. So there's just straight seeding. Because if you look back last year, and we knew this should happen. We didn't know if it was going to happen, but this is the best thing for the playoff.
When Boise State and Arizona State got a bye and it didn't feel like they deserved it, that's when I think the movement was, we got to change it. Good for them. Good for them that they have moved quick. There's no reason to screw around with it.
Right.
Yeah, and I saw a bracket of what it would have looked like last year. Here it is. It was according to Ross Dellinger. Tennessee, as we know, they went on the road to play Ohio State. What seed were they last year?
Wasn't it an 8 versus a 9?
8-9. It was the 8-9.
I think
right?
so, yeah.
Tennessee was the 9. Ohio State was the 8. Tennessee last year would have been a 7, and they would have hosted SMU at Neyland Stadium. And then if they won, they would have played Georgia, who, as we know, Georgia would have been without their starting quarterback.
Oh, wow.
Tennessee,
yeah.
If this would have happened last year,
might have had a real shot at something.
it might have been Tennessee and whoever else in the national title
Billy,
Now,
do they have do they have that ranked? How it would have been ranked now? How did it go?
yeah, I've got it pulled up. I'm going to try to show it here eventually. But number 1 would have been Oregon. 2 would have been Georgia. 3 Texas. 4 Penn State. So that is what it would have been. 5 would have been Notre Dame. 6 Ohio State. So instead of 8 for Ohio State, they would have been the 6. Indiana would have been playing Boise State in the 8-9 game. Indiana would have hosted last year. Notre Dame would have been the 5, as I said, hosting Clemson, which probably would have been tougher than Indiana. So you would have seen different results last year if they would have.
Oh, I think that, yeah. The good thing is I think they're getting it right now.
Right.
Apparently, they're going to expand to 16, and whether that's right or not, based on year 1, it felt like we reached some fatigue by the time we got to the third round games. Be interesting to see.
Are they still going to have Are they still going to have first round buys? Or are they going to? Is everybody going? How are they doing that?
Yeah. It's still going to be the same tournament format.
Okay.
But they're just not. The conference champs are not getting priority, which was a pretty ridiculous idea because not all conference champs are created equal, as we saw last year. But I'm going to pull it up right here, Kelly, and you were asking for it. For those watching on the podcast, here's what that bracket would have looked like. And sorry, this is taking forever, but that's what it would have looked like last year.
Is that my phone ringing?
Yeah. Do you know how to mute it?
Yeah. Throw it back to me and I'll mute it.
Oh, I forgot.
See, that right there looks a lot different, and that right there is how it should have been last year. Which George is right. Give them kudos for making a quick decision, but you see that, and that would have been you would have had a lot of different results from last year.
That's good news, though. What else we got?
In the NBA, Pacers beat the Knicks 138-135. And some memories of Reggie Miller doing the choking gesture toward Spike Lee came back last night.
Reggie was TNT's color analyst on the game. First of all, the Knicks blew it. We know that. It was an incredible ending. You know, Indiana scored like 20 points in the last 2 minutes of regulation. It's a game they stole. And when you steal a game in a 7-game series, you're probably going to win the series. It's probably that simple.
Yeah,
I don't think I've ever seen guys hit as many 3-point. They didn't miss.
No,
it was like Belmont. It was like Belmont earlier in the. Yeah, it was like Belmont earlier in the season when Lipscomb had them, and then there at the end of the game, they did not miss a 3.
Aaron Nesmith, former Vanderbilt Commodore, had 8 threes, 30 points.
Did he really?
Yeah.
I knew he had a bunch.
Tonight, Timberwolves and Thunder in Oklahoma City. Anthony Edwards was recently fined $50,000 for using profane language during a media interview.
Hold on a second. Hold on. Let's just get to it.
He used profanity.
Dropped the F-bomb. Okay? You drop the F-bomb,
you get fined $50,000?
Your wallet will be lighter. Look, $50,000 for him's like a deck chair off the Queen Mary. Thank you.
He said after the game, I only took 13 effing shots in the loss.
Yes. F.
Thank you for the clarification. We needed that.
I figured we did.
Stars last night beat the Oilers 6-3. They were down 3-1 going into the third period.
Dropped some F-bombs in that third period. They fell apart like a cheap suit.
Gosh, I couldn't believe that. I think that's what I got. And I think we've got Mr. Hugh Greenfield on with a spring fling report.
Okay, let's find out where he is in Murfreesboro. Hugh, thank you for waiting.
Absolutely. How's it going?
Good. Where are you?
I just arrived to MTSU, where it looks like there's not much going on. I believe a track event just ended, and before I called, I was looking up the schedule to see when the next one was. But before that, I watched Columbia Academy beat Clarksville 2-0 to move on to the finals, where Columbia will face the winner of Knoxville Grace and Clarksville Academy for all the marbles tomorrow morning.
This is in baseball?
Yes, correct.
So were there many people at any of the events you've seen so far?
There was a big home crowd for Columbia Academy at the baseball game. The fans were getting pretty loud, and towards the end when they won it, the second to last out, I heard one of the parents scream out left, right, as the opposing high schooler struck out, which that baffled my mind.
What?
Wow.
That's a little extreme.
In other words, left, right, go to the dugout.
From parents.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
These playoff games.
maybe they're frustrated with their jobs. Who knows?
Yeah, I'm not too sure, but I moved areas shortly after that to a more peaceful part to watch.
Right. We want peaceful stuff in this report. So where I know you're going to be back with us at 4:00. Where are you headed?
At 4:00, there is a soccer game, NBA versus, who are they playing?
Is it McCall?
Yeah, I believe it is McCauley, and I think that's the finals. That starts at 4. And
So you will be there.
when I get off with you guys, I'm going to check to see if there's any more upcoming track events, and then if not, I'll probably just head over there for the start of the games.
Beautiful. Let them know that you're part of the George Plaster show. They'll probably charge you double.
They already charged me $15 to get in.
Oh,
no.
Tell him
George will
know-
give you he'll give you some money back there, Hugh. Don't worry about it.
No, we won't.
Don't hold your breath, though.
That was a George Plaster fund.
Yeah, listen. Tell him Kelly Holcomb, that when they ask who the hell that is, tell him he's a legendary NFL quarterback and see what happens.
I'll report back at 4 with what happened.
I breathlessly await the report. Hugh, thank you.
Me too.
All right.
Hugh Greenfield reporting from Spring Fling in Murfreesboro. Billy, are we done?
We are done. I'm still laughing at. I can't believe parents would be mocking a kid like that.
Hey, Billy, have you ever been to a Columbia Academy game?
I haven't. I kind of want to now, but
they get a little wild, Hoss. I've been there.
That's
Get a little wild.
Thanks for sharing that. After the break, Adam Sparks from the Knoxville News Sentinel will join us, and I'll ask the question. The commissioner has told Tennessee and Vandy, if you don't play ball right, we might expel you. Does he have the authority to do that? I don't think so. We'll ask that question next. This is 94.9 The Fan.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
It's easy to say good things about the folks at Strike and Spare Family Fun Centers. Number one, I trust them with something that's near and dear to me, the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. But more importantly, I see the fun people have. They enjoy the bowling, they enjoy the camaraderie, and you will too. Come by any of their locations and get ready to have some fun.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
At Wilson Bank and Trust, we believe you shouldn't have to choose between personal service and digital solutions. As your local independent bank, we're proud to offer the relationships and trusted service you expect, along with the tools and technology that keep you moving forward. So whether you're growing a business, buying a home, or planning for the future, we're here to help. Because this isn't just where we work, it's where we live too. Wilson Bank and Trust, here to get you there. Member FDIC.
Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com. Dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com.
Tonight, your Nashville Sounds continue their 6-game series at First Horizon Park against Scranton Wilkes-Barre. Pre-game at 6:20.
Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan and the Game Nashville app. It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Adam Sparks from the Knoxville News Sentinel is going to join us in just a second. I'm going to read the first paragraph of a lengthy story that he put out earlier today that you're probably going to want to read. A new Tennessee law triggered the power conferences of college sports into demanding member schools like the University of Tennessee and Vanderbilt to sign a loyalty pledge over new player pay rules or face possible expulsion. Let's say hello to Adam Sparks, who joins us from Knoxville. Man, look at you. You got the microphone ready. You are in high cotton.
How are you guys doing today?
We're good. We're good.
I always think on the Tennessee beat, like every spring I get into it and I think this is going to be a quiet spring. You know, I'm not going to be in a federal courtroom. There's not going to be an NCAA investigation. And I almost got through this one and then this one hit. So here we go again.
Okay, let me start with a little bit of cynicism, because one of the first of my cynical thoughts is, and by the way, I'm not a big Greg Sankey fan. I think he's a complete blowhard. And this is example number one. He doesn't have the authority to boot by himself, does he?
No, he doesn't. The membership does. And I mean, I don't think that any school, especially Tennessee, is going to get kicked out of the league. Now, that was a legitimate threat, I guess. It's a and Ross Dellinger reported this first. It's a drafted memo, and this has been through a few different drafts, but the latest one is a threat that the worst penalty that you could get if you don't sign this loyalty pledge to follow all the rules that are about to be in place with the House settlement, that the worst penalty is expulsion. I think it's a negotiating tactic. The rest of the conference, the SEC office, but also other member schools looked at the Tennessee law as a very, very bold, even aggressive move. And so the way the SEC sees it, I think, is they are, and the power conferences are, that they are countering with an aggressive move with that threat. And so we'll see where it goes. Other states have done similar laws. The difference in the one that Tennessee drew up is that there's specific language. Well, let me put it like this. The other states drew up laws that sort of go hand in hand, sort of as a partnership to the House settlement, that the new rules that are coming into college athletics, the NIL clearinghouse and revenue sharing and all that, that the new laws at the other states work hand in hand and sort of allow those things to go on for universities to pay money directly to athletes. Tennessee did that, but the added language in the Tennessee law is that they say, yeah, we're going to go along with that system until we don't. And there's sort of an out clause of, we will follow these rules until we don't want to follow them. And the point that they would get to would be if they were sued by an athlete. That's what this is about, liability issues. Tennessee believes, that the next round of lawsuits will not be directed as much as at the NCAA or the power conferences. They could be, but they will also include the schools. And they want to make sure that they they can eject and parachute out of that system if they want to, if lawsuits are coming.
Adam, here was one of the things that hit me, and admittedly, where I went with this is totally different than most people. Let's just say in a crazy world that Tennessee got booted. Okay, you talk about changing the landscape of college athletics. The Big 8, the Big 10, well, Big 12, Big 10, ACC would be all over Tennessee, dying to have them. If I'm Tennessee's president, I'd send Sankey a letter saying, do not threaten me.
Yeah, that's the big question, is what's the counter to the counter? Because I don't think, Tennessee, I think, would like to take a half a step back, and then the SEC take a half a step back. The problem is the way that you would do that would be to soften the language of a law that's already on the books. The law is there. What is Tennessee going to do? Go back to the same lawmakers and say, hey, just say that we promise not to follow this law, or this law won't give us as much of an out clause? Like, that's not going to happen. So at this point, I think Tennessee almost has to just promise the SEC that they will follow these rules. But I don't see that happening either. So I don't really know where this goes. Somebody's going to have to relent a little bit. But it's funny because, a week from now, the SEC spring meetings are going to be in Destin. And I think publicly you're going to see some member schools in the SEC show some frustration at Tennessee because they want UT to be a team player. I talked to somebody in the NCAA circles a couple of days ago, and they basically said, why can't Tennessee just play by the rules for a minute? Be a team player. We're trying to get this system started. So some in the SEC will say that publicly, and then privately they will come to UT and say, hey, listen, we don't think the House settlement's going to work either. We applaud you guys for being bold and blatant out there with this, but we're with you. We don't think this is going to last either. Tennessee just happened to put it out there.
So if we could be a fly on the wall when those schools get together in that meeting, how much of this is Tennessee and Vandy looking at Sankey saying, why don't you go, jump in the lake? You don't have the authority to throw us out. How about something positive from you and come up with an idea that actually helps?
Well, and I think the problem is everybody's sort of looking at each other for a solution. There's skepticism all around about this. Most in college athletics are skeptical that the House settlement is going to work. But I would say most want to give it a try. and see if they can, have a little bit of progress. I would say a lot of schools at UT's level think that collective bargaining is where we're going to get to eventually, and they would like to just go ahead and push this stage through and get to the next stage. And, I think some of the conferences do too. The conferences are maybe a little more wishful thinking. And here's the thing, that's what got us into this issue to begin with. If you go back 15, 20 years, a lot of people knew we would be here. It's just they kept kicking the can down the road. And this is maybe another example of this. You mentioned Vanderbilt and Tennessee, and you read the lead of my story. Vanderbilt is technically included in this, just like Memphis and MTSU and whoever else is in the state. I don't think Vandy is on board as much with this as UT is. I mean, it's no secret through a lot of these NCAA investigations and suing the NCAA a year ago and all these sort of things that the Tennessee lawmakers are tied in with UT specifically a lot on this. I won't say that Vandy didn't know this law was coming, but I don't think they're as tied into it as UT is. And there is some language within the bill that's now a law that private universities in the state can sort of opt out of the protections of the state law. In other words, they can say, yeah, our state law says we don't have to follow the college sports rules in the House settlement, but we can opt out of that state law and just agree to follow them. I tend to think Vanderbilt would be a little more agreeable to follow the team than UT would be, for better or worse.
Good God, I am confused.
Me too.
Kelly, do your best. Adam is a great reporter.
I know. I'm sitting here confused listening to Adam, because Adam, he's a wealth of knowledge. I remember riding home with him one night, and like all the stories that he's got. I mean, he's a wealth of knowledge. So let's go to the other case. We talked about it yesterday. What do you think about the Zakai Ziegler deal with him going, up against the NCAA trying to get another year of eligibility?
I think a number of people around UT fan base would like it. I, as a college fan, would not like it. I don't. The rule is going to change. A fifth year is going to be allowed once the House settlement goes through, which could be a few days from now. Next year's class is probably going to get the luxury of 5 years, where you have five. You can play 5 seasons in 5 years. That's going to change. Ziegler and others probably after him are just trying to get that sped up one more year. They're saying, hey, if it's going to change in a couple months anyway, why can't we go ahead and hop on that now and take advantage of that? The slippery slope there is, once you award a 5th year, if that's approved through the courts, then why not a 6th year and a 7th year and an 8th year? Because if the argument through the courts is that as long as I am enrolled at a school and I can make money because I am an athlete at that school, a 5th year is just arbitrary. So you could stay for 7, 8, 9. And I don't, as a college fan, I don't like that. I mean, as a guy, I wish him all the luck, but for the good of college sports, I hope that doesn't get changed until, the actual NCAA tries to change it.
Yeah, but for the good of college sports, they've already unleashed all this. I mean, they had no plan for it. They didn't think Congress was going to. They thought it was going to be the same. And they had no plan for it, Adam. So like this, everything's a slippery slope. And like if they do, I asked Jack Waddy, which is a lawyer here in town that represented George, but I asked him yesterday, like, if he does win this case, then you're going to get every kid trying to get another year. And then how do you do that? Does the NCAA just group everybody into this, or is it going to be each individual case? Is that how they're going to do it? Or I don't know where this ends, and I don't know where it stops.
If they thought they would lose the lawsuit, the NCAA would grant a blanket waiver over everybody for 5 years, and then hope nobody sues to get a 6th. But they would. I mean, it takes one lawsuit. So many of these things in college athletics now, the transfer portal, NIL, all the stuff that's come in the last few years, this was inevitable. It was always going to happen because, Kelly, when you played, the rules around not allowing guys to get money for their NIL, like that was illegal then. It's just there wasn't enough money in the sport for it to make it profitable to go after it. So I hear a lot of older generations that say, "Hey, not in my day." Hey, listen, if you could get six figures in the 1960s, you would do it. I'm not saying you, Kelly. I know you're in the 90s, but if every generation would have done this, it was always unlawful technically, but there wasn't that much money in it. Once we got to the late 90s, 2000s, and there was this much money rolling around, the value of a scholarship was not commensurate with what was going on with athletes. And so this was always going to happen. And every time these things go to court, the overriding issue is that all this would be fixed if this was professional rules, right? If you just do it NFL rules, you have collective bargaining, all that sort of stuff. It would take care of all this stuff. The problem is you can't implement a professional structure on an amateur association. That's the problem with all this. Every time you try to put professional rules on an amateur association, it doesn't hold up. I mean, if we're part of some association, some club somewhere, and somebody comes in and says how we can or can't make money, we'll say, well, you don't pay. I'm not a professional. I'm not your employee. And so it's unlawful. And so until college athletes are professionals, these lawsuits are going to keep on running through and keep on changing the sport. I don't like that. I wish sports was the way it was, 10, 20, 30 years ago, but it's not going to be, and it's never going to be how it was, because probably the way that a lot of this gets to where people want it to be is these guys being pros to some extent. And I don't like that either. So you're trying to find the best of bad ideas.
Now, we heard the other day with baseball that there's some fatigue with the SEC, and I understand that. But is there some fatigue, do you think, with fans that are starting to see this stuff, and people go year after year, go back to them to try to get money from them to get the NIL, and now, they're putting stuff up on the screen, they're raising ticket prices. How much further can this go before the fans say, I've had enough?
Yeah, it is funny that, I covered Vanderbilt for a long time, right? And Tim Corbin's program was wildly popular there. And everybody at Vanderbilt felt this like intense connection to that sport, because it was a wildly successful sport, but it's felt a little more niche than, SEC football would be. You could just have your hands on guys more, be up close to them. That's sort of run its course a little bit at Tennessee. When Tony Vitello really got things rolling here, baseball seemed sort of quaint, sort of traditional, sort of old school. You could interact with players more. Tickets were more affordable. That's just how baseball is. And they win a national title, and now Tony Vitello is the highest paid, I think, public school baseball coach in the country, and they're renovating the stadium. Ticket prices has skyrocketed. There's a little bit of friction internally, I think, between how much baseball NIL money and rev share money baseball is going to get compared to the Lady Vols and compared to football and men's basketball. And what was quaint before still seems a little bit that way, but not as much. And that's sort of Tennessee is going through a little bit of the cycle that I think Vanderbilt baseball dealt with just a few years ago.
Adam, it's interesting. You also wrote about how Tennessee, being the everything school, could potentially be in danger because of that revenue share. How much does baseball get? Are the Lady Vols getting more in the revenue share than baseball? Those are questions that are going to have to be answered. Tennessee in this NIL world has been a behemoth, a monster, one of the front runners. And there was an example of Nico, right? And I might be long-winded here. Has Tennessee, in their perception, almost become, okay, they've been so far ahead, and they might have gotten a little too far ahead in the NIL world that with Nico, it might have fired back. And now with the everything school, you wrote about how that could be in danger. Can you be too aggressive in the NIL world, especially with what Tennessee has done the last 4 or 5 years?
UT doesn't think you can be too aggressive because they've gotten the Tennessee Attorney General to sue the NCAA and threaten lawsuits a number of times. They have no breaks in Knoxville. Yeah, I mean the everything school thing is interesting because I'd say the most frequently asked question I've gotten in the past month from Tennessee fans is how come, why can't Rick Barnes show Josh Heupel how to go get players? because Josh Heupel did not get a premier wide receiver like a lot of people wanted him to. Rick Barnes instead got a really high-priced point guard. He got a high-priced 5-star freshman. And so, I tell people, well, the answer is within your question, because one coach, you can sort of surmise, had a lot of money spent to get him some players, and the other one didn't. Money is fungible, and money is not unlimited. If you have one sport overspending within a given year, you might have another sport underspending. And that's sort of the dilemma, or maybe the challenge that Tennessee is going to run into. Revenue sharing that's about to come, that's capped. You have a certain percentage for each sport you can put into it. Football's probably around 75%, men's basketball 15%, 5% for women's basketball, 5% for other sports, which at Tennessee would be baseball. So, something around there. And then you have NIL on top of that, but you can sort of figure like the same percentages are going to apply there. And so, if you're an SEC school, if you're any school, but if you're a very competitive SEC school, it probably helps your other sports if you have one bad program of the revenue sports. If you can if you're terrible in women's basketball, you just don't spend money into it. Instead, you dump a little more money into baseball, and vice versa. The dilemma that Tennessee has is that it has the defending national champion in baseball. It has the Lady Vols, which are a brand that you absolutely have to spend money on, and you have a fairly new coach there that you promised you would give all the resources to if she came here. You have a men's basketball program that is knocking on the door of the Final Four if they can get there, and a Hall of Fame coach. And then you have the football program that rakes in 3/4 of the revenue. And this is the SEC. You better dump all the money you can into that. And so there's not a bad sport to sort of go cheap with. And if you look around the SEC, those 4 sports that I just named, most around the SEC has a weak sport that they can underspend by a little bit. Tennessee doesn't have that.
A really interesting point you bring up.
That is.
By the way, very impressed with the microphone setup. I mean, you've gone high tech here.
I think I do this more now than I write, George. I don't.
I believe it.
We talked about I'd love to go back to college sports 10, 20 years ago. Sometimes I think that where you can just sit in your car outside of a grocery store and do the show, but that's not how we do it anymore.
Okay, answer this question. Is Adam working on getting a law degree to help him with his coverage?
I feel like I've gotten that the last few years. I've been in federal courthouses more than I think I've been in stadiums the last couple of years. It feels like here's the skill that I've learned over the past few years covering a lot of these is there's a need in sports journalism to take complicated issues like this and dumb them down as much as possible. And so the way that I approach all these type of stories is I go to somebody who knows and say, just pretend like I'm stupid and just explain it to me like I'm really, really stupid. And if you do that with people, say, I'm in 3rd grade, please explain this to me. And then if you can communicate that to readers, because, we don't know, like we're sports guys, I've had to learn a whole lot of things about the law and contracts and collective bargaining and all that I never wanted to know, but you have to know it now. And if you're in Knoxville, you absolutely have to know it.
Adam, you were good to do this on short notice. Thank you for coming on.
All right, guys. Good to be on.
Adam Sparks, really good reporter for the Knoxville News Sentinel. After the break, we'll get you an update on a huge game between Tennessee and Texas that is going on right now in Hoover, Alabama. And then I'll take my cynicism to a ridiculously new level. You'll want to hear it next on 94.9 The Fan.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
The Nashville Cats are charging towards the playoffs. Tune in for their next game against Corpus Christi Sunday, June 1st at 5 p.m. Catch the live play-by-play action on Totally Hits 93.3. For tickets, go to NashvilleCats.com. That's NashvilleCats.com.
This is my buddy Stan Harrison from Apple Collision Centers. Recently, you've been talking to me about companies that have a fleet of trucks and they're always in need of repairs.
That's right, George. We understand that nobody likes to deal with the auto body repair process. We try to simplify that at our 3 convenient locations. We work with all major insurance companies. We help to ease the stress of the auto body repair process. We're located in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. If you need our services, please stop by and see us.
And how convenient that we have that in the background. Now, seriously, these are good folks. They do really good work. Give them a holler.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2025 season. Create a summer of memories at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, and more. Tickets are on sale now.
These are good folks. They do really good work. Give them a holler.
10 years of home runs, 10 years of memories. First Horizon Park has been the heartbeat of Nashville baseball, and this season we celebrate a decade of unforgettable moments. Join us for the 10th anniversary celebration all season long. Tickets at NashvilleSounds.com.
You're 2 total screw-ups of humongous proportions.
Sports. We're not living in an era where perfection is necessary.
They thought they were a championship contending team.
Here, we told you not to do this. Your sports live here.
On ESPN 94.9.
And the Game Nashville Sports Network. It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
It's a nice picture, Kelly.
Yeah, great picture.
Kelly, that blank picture was beautiful.
I know. Why did Billy put it up there, Billy? Yeah, we're going to charge you. Bathroom break, Hoss. I mean, what are we doing?
Well, what are you doing? Oh, okay.
I mean, Billy, if I'm not here, don't put me up, you clown.
He's Tony Basilio now, calling people clowns.
Yeah, listen to that. Okay, what's going on in Hoover?
Texas up 1-0 on Tennessee in the top of the 3rd.
In a game that if Tennessee wins, I believe they will end up hosting a regional next weekend.
Yeah, but yesterday on the SEC network after the game, the hosts were talking, Dari Noak asked the question to the panel. He said, so what does this mean for Tennessee after yesterday's win for the Vols? And both analysts were like, oh, they're in. They're hosting. I'm like, why do the SEC network analysts have to be such big sheep as they are for the conference? Wow. I know. I mean, have you Jimmy Dykes and Tony Basilio's mentioned this? Jimmy Dykes, if it was up to him, every team in the league last year would have been in the basketball tournament. Like I think it's ridiculous how they act sometimes about
South Carolina wouldn't have been in.
No, they wouldn't.
Okay, so I want all of you to think about this for a minute because I got to thinking about all the schools that have cheated in the SEC over the years. And I'm bringing up one that's kind of funny. When Kentucky, had
another year to Cleveland State.
When they had the package open in midair and oops, there's a lot of money. Oh, it's $10,000. Nobody ever said expulsion. Think about all the schools in the league that have cheated. You have never heard the word expulsion. This commissioner is a blowhard. First of all, he doesn't even have the authority to expel. And secondly, I don't know what Vandy's market would be. I'm guessing ACC and then probably below that. So take them out of the equation. But if Mr. Sankey told Tennessee to take a hike, 3 other conferences would be all over them laughing, saying, we got you.
Yeah, but don't act like the SEC couldn't survive without Tennessee.
No, but here's the point. Why bring that word into the equation? Why not just say, look, we need you to apply so that everything works? But expulsion? Well, if I'm the chancellor at the University of Tennessee, I'm sending Sankey a letter telling, kiss my butt.
But I like what Adam said, too, on the counter. What most of the teams in the league are trying to do right now is find a solution.
Right.
Here's Tennessee coming up with this new NIL law. Why? And maybe there's other like Missouri. We've heard about the Missouri NIL law, but why can't they play by the rules for a year and try to help get this solved?
Okay.
I know the expulsion is too far.
I agree with that, but expulsion is laughable.
Yeah.
Okay. And this is him trying to play Rambo. This is him saying, I am big man on campus. I am the final authority. Well, no, he isn't. That's a matter that a bunch of schools have to decide. He doesn't have that power.
Yeah, I would have never brought that up too, because you're not ever going to get rid of UT. Like, what are you talking about? Like, it's never going to happen, and you would have to have all the other teams in the league vote on that stuff, and it's just, yeah, it's kind of crazy going that aspect and going that route to say that, hey, I'm going to put you on notice. Come on now, you're not going to put anybody on notice.
It sounds like Greg Sankey doesn't like Tennessee's flamboyant attitude,
and that's fine.
Okay,
you're right. I do think there's some of that,
and he's probably getting sick of it, and a lot of people are.
But some people are getting sick of him.
You're right. It goes both ways. But
you know what surprised me about Adam is he's talking about not being in a courtroom with UT. When I was a kid, UT's always doing something. It happens every year. It's happened every year of my life. So I don't know where Adam was going with that, because I promise you something's going to come up at UT.
Well, but he's right. Since he's been covering Tennessee, it's almost been extreme. The Jeremy Pruitt stuff.
It has.
It just goes on and on with Tennessee in the NIL era. The Nico stuff, the Dondi Plowman, all the work she did, right, to get Tennessee back on track. By the way, she should be, without her, is Tennessee in good shape right now?
Well,
I don't think so.
She's certainly, I guess, what you'd call an unsung hero.
Yes.
In their stuff. But I go back to the commissioner. Really, expulsion?
You just don't like the commissioner, George. Quit hating. That's your problem.
A listener says, just like Russia will never be a true friend, Alabama will never be a true friend to Tennessee.
No, you're absolutely right. I've told y'all this before. When Bear Bryant was coaching, he said the Iron Bowl is fine. We have a rivalry with Auburn, but the biggest rivalry we have is against Tennessee.
The Tennessee people, and Tony has said this before, that Greg Sankey's in bed with Alabama, and the office is in Birmingham, and all that. So I think a lot of this does come back to the superiority complex between Alabama people and Tennessee, because Alabama and Tennessee probably represent those are probably the two biggest fan bases in the league. Would y'all agree? Throw LSU in there.
I don't know. I would say, yeah.
I think you got
most vocal, most subscribers, whatever, to the team sites and that kind of thing.
All I'm saying is, if I'm Plowman, I'm sending old Greg a little letter saying, listen, we were here before you ever came on campus, and we'll be here after we get rid of you.
Hey, where is our guy Paul Feinbaum sitting all this? Because he's a UT grad, am I not correct? And now he's in Alabama. He's all about Alabama.
Right.
He moved. That's where he did, 30, 40 years of his radio show?
Down in Birmingham.
Yeah.
So I'm going to want some opinions here in a few minutes about expulsion.
It is pretty ridiculous when you think about it.
It is one of the dumbest concepts. Think about it.
I wish you would follow through with it, though, to be honest with you. I want to see where it goes.
What if at 8:00 tonight Tennessee's a free agent.
Could you
Can
imagine?
you imagine the recruitment pitch by the Big Ten? You get the Nashville and Knoxville markets.
If I'm the
you
ACC,
get to stick it to the SEC a little bit. You think about that. Think about how stupid that sounds. What are you going to replace them with? Swanee?
hey, they were in the SEC.
They were once.
If I'm the ACC, though, in this hypothetical, I push hard for Tennessee because they're in your market there. That would be the school. And if I'm Tennessee, I'd rather be in the ACC than the Big Ten. So you could dominate the ACC.
So here is one thought here. Okay, look, it's a bunch of crap, this whole expulsion thing. But let's say there were truth to it. How much would Tennessee leaving the SEC create a new cycle of stuff? Schools leaving one, it would create a bunch.
Imperialism.
Yes.
Imperialism.
For sure.
Well, because you'd have to add one more team to make it an even number.
Spell that word, Billy.
Word wealth. Okay. After the break.
Use it in a sentence.
Do you know what it means? I've lost control today, haven't I?
You have.
Okay.
You have.
Okay. If after the break, we'll do stat of the day. We kind of feel like we know the result. Then we'll get an award-winning spring fling update from Hugh Greenfield. And then I want to take some of your phone calls about expulsion at 615-553-0933. Red-blooded Americans who want to discuss expulsion. 615-553-0933. Please hit the phones. I beg of you. This is 94.9 The Fan.
Looking for your favorite sports?
How about sports? You follow sports?
We probably have it. Just log on to the Information Superhighway. Oh, they don't call it that anymore?
To start, press any key. Where's the any key?
Head to thegamenashville.com.
The password. We're in.
You'll find what time your game starts and what station it's on.
Oh, they have the internet on computers now.
That's what's up. Your sports live here.
What an age we live in.
On the Game Nashville Sports Network. Listen on the air.
So don't tell me to chill out.
On the web at thegamenashville.com.
This team has strategically put themselves back in the mix.
Watch us on YouTube or download the Game Nashville app.
You have to make those plays.
Your sports live here on the Game Nashville Sports Network.
It's Family Leisure's 34th Memorial Day sale.
Memorial Day means summer is finally here. So get your family swimming now. DIY pools start at just $19.99. 24-foot pools are only $29.99 installed with 6 months, same as cash.
Family Leisure has great prices on spas and hot tubs in stock and ready for immediate delivery. Spas start at only $29.99. Family Leisure has the spa you want at guaranteed low prices.
Well, while the kids are in the pool and you're in the hot tub, I want to be in some new patio furniture. Family Leisure has hundreds of sets from all the best brands on sale at guaranteed low prices.
The Sabre Infrared Grill starts at only $14.99. Complete Bull Grill Island start at only $39.99. Installed with a Sabre Grill head.
Diamond Point Wood Play gyms at only $24.99 installed.
Pool tables, massage chairs, arcade games, and more on sale now.
That's Family Leisure, 2 huge locations, Antioch and Franklin.
Nashville. The semifinals of the PFL World Tournament begin Thursday, June 12th. Former welterweight world champion Jason Jackson takes on rising star the Silverback Thad Jean, plus 2023 PFL World Champ Jesus Pinedo and Gabriel Braga collide in a highly anticipated trilogy match. Don't miss your chance to see the action live June 12th at Municipal Auditorium in Nashville. Visit pflmma.com/schedule for more info.
Your sports live here. WBUZ HD3 Laverne. All around the world on the Game Nashville app. We are the Game Nashville Sports Network. ESPN 94.9 The Fan. A Cromwell media station.
It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Texas still up 1-0 on Tennessee in the top of the fourth. Time now, though, for Stat of the Day, brought to you by Apple Collision Centers. You can find them in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. Give them a call, 615-754-9800, or log on to their website. That's applecollisioncenters.com. All right, with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander winning the MVP, the drought of an American winning NBA MVP continues. Who was the last American-born NBA MVP? This is great radio.
You just pipe down.
Yeah. Save it, Billy. Could
it be
Steph
Kobe?
Curry? Steph Curry?
Let's go with Steph Curry. I like that one. I think that's a good answer.
It is James Harden.
Wow.
James Harden.
Everybody in the studio was saying Steph too.
That's a little surprising.
James Harden. Wow. Okay. There you go. Way to go, Billy. I know you're laughing.
Nice effort.
You don't have to answer these questions, though.
Maybe we'll reverse the roles one day.
Yeah, maybe so.
I don't think you do as good as we do.
You thickhead, you.
Theory.
Maybe we will someday.
Let's do it.
Maybe when you get your own show.
Yeah, go play in traffic.
Billy said that's coming.
Well, I think he's been negotiating with Tony Basilio. Look for him.
Tony doesn't take him serious, though, George. Let's be honest. He talks all that trash when he gets on here, but he really doesn't take him serious.
Okay, we welcome all of you into the 4:00 hour officially from our digs at the Ford Ice Center in Bellevue. The first thing we're going to do is go to Murfreesboro and get another spring fling update. But secondly, I want some red-blooded Americans to talk expulsion with me. Can you believe they used that word on Tennessee and Vandy? I'd tell the commissioner next week, you're the one we need to expel. Wow.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
A lot of hatred in that.
Yeah. Anyway, phone lines will be open. Want to hear from you at 615-553-0933. Red-blooded Americans, no communists. Let's check in with Hugh Greenfield, who is covering spring fling in Murfreesboro. Hugh, I trust that all the parents are now behaving well.
So far, the soccer game, that is correct. I've only been here for a couple minutes, but from what I've seen, it seems that everybody's sitting down, peaceful. But that is until something happens. The crowd might go wild. Who knows?
Okay, so set the scene. Montgomery Bell Academy, MBA is playing whom?
Macaulay.
Good
Macaulay's
crowd?
in blue. It's really just parents. It looks to be just parents, like family and friends. But there might be people stuck in traffic because there was some traffic that I got stuck into, so maybe they're stuck in the same.
So, tell me a little bit. Things just started, correct?
Yep, 0-0. NBA had a couple shots, but nothing has fallen yet. But I think it says my eyesight isn't great at the moment, but I believe that says 4:55 into the game.
Yeah. Okay, keep us updated on this. We'll check back in with you around 4:50, and by then we should be nearing the end of the first half.
Yep, perfect. I'll talk to you then.
Hugh Greenfield reporting live from Spring Fling in Murfreesboro. Are we now ready to go to phones?
We are.
Let's start with Tyrone in Brentwood. Tyrone, welcome into 94.9.
George, the living iconic legend. Kelly, the legend of Lincoln County. Hey, man, I got to say this before I trash this stupid commissioner. I was looking up last night, Kelly Holcomb. Man, this 1990 state title, I remember that, man. I remember your toughest game that year was the first round against Oakland, because I remember that night listening to it on WGNS, and y'all won a doozy, barn burner, 13-12. Then you just cruised the rest of the way. So, hey, state champion, man. That's why I call you the Lincoln County legend. But
well, I
anyway,
think you said Tyrone? Did you say 1993? Because I was on the 1990.
No, the 1990 one. I know. I remember.
The 1990.
I remember. Yeah, 1990 is the one you were on, and I also remember 93 because you beat my cousin Alvin Duke, who played for Riverdale. Shelby Parker was the quarterback of their team, and they beat Riverdale. So I remember that one too. But
that's right.
Alvin Duke was a Vanderbilt running back, and a pretty good one back when I did their games.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, that's my cousin. He's now the branch manager at Region Bank. But yeah, absolutely. But anyway, I want to get to this. And I'm not a Vol fan, so the fact I've got to defend the Vols tells you what a dumb remark this commissioner made. If I was the Vols and I got wind of this today, I'd have laughed my keister off first of all. And then I would have called and said, "Are you serious? You pisshead? Really? You trying to threaten us? You trying to act like you got something over us and like you're tough?" Oh, I'd have laughed so hard, and I'd have told him, "Man, listen up. Do you not know the ACC, the Big 10, the Big 12? They'll be running butt naked to sign us. I mean, they'll tell us the name, whatever we want. We can have whatever we want. It's ours. I mean, what's this commissioner thinking? What you going? You said it best, George. What are you going to replace him with, Sawani? Oh, this is a joke. This is just a commissioner thinking he's really more than what he is. And if I was the Vols, I'd tell him to go screw himself. I'm sorry. This is a joke. Are you kidding me? You going to threaten us? It's a joke. Who you going to replace Tennessee, Alabama with? Who you going to replace Tennessee, Florida with? Who you going to replace Tennessee, Georgia with? Oh, piss in. Know your role and shut your mouth, please.
UL Monroe. Tyrone, thank you.
Take care, sir.
Okay, Billy, you've gotten a couple of responses, I know, by way of text. So let's go with them.
Randy, advice: if UT and Vandy don't want to follow the SEC rules, then move to the Sun Belt.
Wow.
Well, yeah. That would probably be more of a Vandy thing. I don't know if you get UT in the Sun Belt, but I don't know.
Another texter asks, can Tennessee be an independent and play the highest bidder?
Well, look, I realize what we're getting at is silly, but the use of the word expulsion, he just set all the bells off in my head like, are you serious? I mean, really?
He's just trying to get in the media, George. Any coverage is good coverage, whether it's bad coverage. You know what I'm saying? He's just trying to get his name out there.
Tony in Nolensville, you are next on 94.9 The Fan.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Always a great topic when you're talking about something like this, no doubt. I said the other day, George, that there's a lot of people. I've been around this conference all over, and we talked about this. Everywhere I go, there's one common denominator is a lot of the people don't like Tennessee. Now, they don't like the fans, but they don't like every time you look up, and Kelly, you were right. As we've been growing up over the years, Tennessee's always had a tainted outlook on them. They're always had some type of slanted, derogatory, negative something going on in Knoxville. And it just follows them. That T stands for tainted on the helmet. Some people say it stands for Teflon, and nothing sticks to them. And that might be true, too. But if they was to leave, it would be a blow to the SEC. But I do think if they wanted to stay with some team in Tennessee who could maybe fill the bill, maybe Memphis. But I could see, and I've talked about this before, we've all talked about it. Of course, Tennessee, I think Tennessee's a charter school. I know Vanderbilt's a charter school. But I've thought many times, and then George, I've talked about this before, if Vanderbilt was to ever leave, that a good fit for them would be the ACC. When you consider Virginia, you consider Duke, you consider Wake Forest. A lot of those schools match up with where Vanderbilt might be. And Vanderbilt, I think, can maybe do in the other sports a lot better than they might do in the SEC. That's my opinion. I don't want Vanderbilt to get out by no means. I'm a Vanderbilt fan. But at the same time, it's just, you just get tired of so much of these innuendos and this type of stuff. And Kelly, I'm going to say this, and Billy, I am so sick and tired of this, where we're at in major Division I college football and college sports. These guys, you're not supposed to criticize them on social media. Oh, how dare you call a young student athlete out by his name. These guys are getting paid NIL money. They're getting paid fixing to start revenue sharing. They get scholarships at Vanderbilt, $96,000 or $98,000 a year now. And these other schools are, quite a bit. They get meals, medical, clothing, housing. Everything is paid for these guys. And it's ridiculous. And it's killing a lot of fans who I've gone for years watching Vanderbilt. Spent a lot of money out there at Vanderbilt when I had season tickets in football, men and women's basketball and baseball. But it is driving me and the other people away. I just don't give a damn about it no more, really, because of all of this crap, all this money that's come into it. And that's why I put a lot of concentration. Kelly, your son's at Valdosta State. Now, I'm enjoying the one double A, I was going to say, but the FCS and the mid-major programs now as much as I do some of these others. Do I watch the big boys? Yes, but are they driving me away with all this constant crap? And I, as a fan, am getting sick of it. And it just don't stop, and it just keeps going. I'm tired of the court battles and everything. It's just the constant thing that is going on. So thank you for letting me voice my opinion. I called in, wanted to say that, and I'll let y'all talk about it. Anchor down and go P. Let's go, Govs. Billy, do you know what they did today, by the way? Did they play?
You're talking Austin P?
Yes. What did they do in baseball today? I've been out and about doing some things today.
Hold on. We're about to give you an answer. At least we think we are.
Austin P.
By the way, Belmont beat UT Martin today 7-6 in baseball. Austin P., you're going to have to go Atlantic Sun. And let's see what we've got out of the A-Sun. It appears you hit the wrong conference there.
No,
that's not the A-Sun.
Yes, it is. What conference? Yes, it is. What conference is Austin P in?
They're in the A-Sun.
They're in the A-Sun.
Today was they're playing down at Stetson, down in Florida. They beat North Florida 2 days ago. And I just got home a while ago. I've been out and about doing personal errands and looking at a car, George. Car.
Nice.
They are leading Jacksonville 9-1 in the top of the ninth right now.
I love it. Let's go, P. All right, guys, I'm going to marinate a little bit on what I talked about. I'll get off here. Thank you, George. Bye.
Okay, I'm going to take the part. Yesterday, it really caught me off guard how little response I got to the Zakai Ziegler thing when I put it on Facebook. Now, we had a ton of people that watched when Jack Waddy came on to give his opinion. Kelly, I do think that there is a level of fatigue going on right now. The fan loves the games. The fan is going to make the ratings on games really good. But I think they're tired of learning how the sausage is being made.
I do too. That's why I keep asking all these questions, because I think there is a fatigue. I think the fans are going to start getting upset. I think I'm all about what Adam said because he's saying it wasn't right. Even when I played, I understand that these universities and stuff were making money off us, but like the name, image, and likeness, you never thought about that when you were playing. You just wanted to play football, but like name, image, and likeness, they've taken this in a totally different direction from what it was meant to be. It was meant to be like if you got your name, image, or likeness put up somewhere, you need to be compensated for it. Now, everybody on the team's not going to be compensated for it, but if you were to do it like that, you're still going to have animosity on the team. So I don't know where it goes, George, but I'm just saying I hate asking people the same question over and over again, but I feel like Tony. I feel like there's a lot of people that feel like Tony, that people are just starting to get upset about it because they've ruined something that was really good. It was inevitable that it was going to happen, but they've had no plan for it, and now it's just the wild, wild west. And people, like they enjoyed watching young people play the game that they love to play, and now I hear from people. I just told somebody today on the phone about it. You're hearing from all these coaches now when you go on a recruiting visit and you enter a house with a young man and his parents, they don't even talk about school anymore. It's how much can I get paid? And that is it's going to kill the game at some point. And Tom Moore, when I talked about him, he talked about greed. It's so greedy now. There's so much money in it, and it's so greedy that it's going to kill itself at some point. Now, Tony Basilio talks about it hadn't done it yet, and I'm with him. It hasn't done it yet, but like, how many Tonys are going to be out there that are just tired of dealing with all this stuff, tired of dealing with these entitled kids that are getting paid all this money because they're talented in a sport? And I don't know where it ends, George. And I'm with Tony. It bothers me. Adam Sparks even said it said it too. It bothers him because college is not going back to where it was, but we've got to find some kind of common ground in the future. And I know we talked the other day about Trump talking to Nick Saban. Something has got to happen where we can get on some even ground, and we can make sense of all this
soon. Bobby in Bellevue, you are up next on 94.9 The Fan.
Your Braves are even. They're 500.
Thank you.
You're stuck with them. We'll see if they can keep it up.
Bobby, I'm fine with them.
Yeah. If you like being 50-50 and, mediocre, there you go. Okay.
They're going to be okay. Just long season, I hope.
It's spurious menace. Spurious menace, which means false or illegitimate. And that's what the threat is from the SEC. I don't like it. I agree with what Kelly's saying. I miss the old days. We never knew what we had when we had it. I miss the glory days of 4 or 5 years ago before people were getting $4 and $5 million a year and dancing on TikTok. I miss those days. Hopefully Trump or someone can get this in order. Tennessee's never going to leave the SEC. I don't know what Spanky or whatever his name is talking about. It's ridiculous, and it only makes college sports worse when they make these threats. I love the show. I love hearing about local sports. It makes you almost want to watch high school, which will probably be ruined pretty soon anyway. But that's the word of the day. Maybe they should call your lawyer Bart Durham or Morgan & Morgan, but Tennessee should fight this if they try to do anything.
Talk to you, Bobby. Thank you. So here's the deal.
George.
Thank you. He's very concerned about the Braves. He likes to bring that up a lot. Look, the Southeastern Conference, if you take one school out, is going to be fine. I'm not arguing that point. It's not like Tennessee is irreplaceable, but the concept of the threat to Tennessee and Vandy is stupid. It to me, it's that ego problem in Birmingham, basically saying, I'm whatever, Rambo. And I just don't think it's necessary. And I think somebody needs to tell him, shut the hell up.
I think you need to be that one, George.
I'd be good at it. Billy, you've had several comments What was the one about imperialism? Let's go with that first.
So we have a definition for imperialism. It's the extension of a nation's authority by territorial acquisition or by the establishment of economic and political dominance over other nations.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
Yes.
He also spelled it for us, too.
Yeah.
Stormy in Nashville. Welcome into the show.
Well, George, I'm going to tell you, I've enjoyed the show for the last 2 weeks via YouTube. We're at the beach. I want to thank you for the opportunity to stay tuned in and stay connected. Now, there's one word about this expulsion stuff. As our Spanish-speaking friends would say, that's a load of pasta de cacahuete.
Can you say that again?
Yeah, pasta de cacahuete, which means actually that's peanut butter, but it sounds good, so never mind. No, but I don't think it's going to happen. And the NIL stuff, it's sickening because we're supposed to be watching amateur sports, and the definition of amateur means the love of the game. And these kids have love of the money, and about 99% of them do not, by their actions, have a love of the game. Kelly said it best. He said all he wanted to do when he went to MTSU was to play football. He got a degree, I guess. That's good. Okay. He probably met a lot of fine girls over there. Yeah, that's good too. But he wanted to play football because that's what. But this generation now, this sippy cup generation right now, I'm done. I'm to the point where I don't even watch pros anymore, except baseball. I watch high school sports because as of now, it's the last pure form of sports. And I'm afraid it will be too soon for that to go the wayside also. So that's all right. I'm sorry. I drove 465 miles in just a little over 6 hours. My hair's still on fire. So I'm kind of wound up.
I like it. Stormy, thank you. Have a good weekend.
Yeah. God bless. Thanks.
By the way, they're calling for 2 inches of rain this weekend, which sucks. Billy, give us a couple more of the comments that have come in, some of which are fairly humorous.
Let's see here. Somebody said a great academic conference could be made with the 3 service academies, plus Wake Forest, Duke, Vandy, Tulane, Rice, SMU, Tulsa, Northwestern, and Stanford. Every school in a major TV market. Wouldn't be the best athletically, but
keep going.
Also, somebody says, I will even fight for Vandy to stay. I can catch a Tennessee game there. I'm proud of them when they do well. I'm for Memphis joining.
Really?
Memphis. I don't think that's happening either.
No.
Hey, Stormy and Bobby talked about it too, and I'll be honest with you today. I just heard this today. There's a high school kid that is getting a 4-year New Balance contract. A high school kid, and the person that was telling me said he's going to be that child is going to be making more than I make. 4-year contract in New Balance in high school.
That's ridiculous.
Absolutely nuts. Okay, after the break, we're going down to Hoover, Alabama, where the SEC baseball championships are going on. Tennessee early in big trouble against the Texas Longhorns. This is 94.9 The Fan.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
It's easy to say good things about the folks at Strike and Spare Family Fun Centers. Number one, I trust them with something that's near and dear to me, the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. But more importantly, I see the fun people have. They enjoy the bowling. They enjoy the camaraderie, and you will too. Come by any of their locations and get ready to have some fun. If you are paying too much for your health insurance, you know what? You need to contact the folks at Pancoast Benefits. Pancoast works with businesses and individuals to tackle the high cost of health insurance. Whether you're a business owner, large or small, self-employed, between jobs, or over the age of 65 and in need of a Medicare plan, Pancoast can help. They make understanding your benefits less difficult and more personal. So check them out today, pancoastbenefits.com, or call them at 615-292-3400. Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com. Or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
Tonight, your Nashville Sounds continue their 6-game series at First Horizon Park against Scranton Wilkes-Barre. Pre-game at 6:20.
Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan and the Game Nashville app. It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Tennessee is down early 4-0 to Texas at the SEC Baseball Championships in Hoover, Alabama. And with that in mind, we say hello to Harrison Fant from SEC Unfiltered. He is at the ballpark. Harrison, thanks for taking the time to be with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Not a problem. It's a hot one here in Hoover, but a good one with some great baseball got going so far.
So is the opinion of most people that Tennessee has already done enough to host a first-round regional, or do most people believe they've got to win today?
I think most people honestly believe they got to win today. And I think, a win against Texas and what that would mean would go a long way. Adding another SEC win, beating a team that in Alabama that's, on the hosting bubble too. I don't know if there's enough. I don't think it puts a lot of confidence in a lot of fans, maybe some Tennessee fans, but, across the media landscape, I think they still got to do a little bit more. But, being down right now against Texas, they got some work to do, and, they got the bats to do it for sure.
So Tennessee started Liam Doyle, who has had a terrific year, SEC Pitcher of the Year. How did they get to him?
Yeah, so honestly, I think Texas just had a really sound approach and not trying to do too much. Obviously, they've done a lot of damage so far. The ball's been jumping off their bats. But I think just, really looking for something they can drive that's maybe been a little more up in the zone, or just, I think they've been hammering the fastball more so than anything else, and just, not letting that beat them. I mean, because we know Liam Doyle's got an electric fastball, 97 to 100 miles an hour. I think he popped 99 at least a couple times today. But there's been a couple good swings on off-speed pitches as well, and just, really just great discipline and great approaches to plate from Texas I've been impressed with, because, we don't really recognize this Texas team for being, a monster lineup that, just mashes and, you're worried about going through 1 through 9 as much as others. So obviously not to take any credit away from Texas, just that's not been their MO. But, they've shown it here today so far, and against, the SEC pitcher of the year, like you said, and Liam Doyle. And been, it looks like they come in really well rested, obviously with the double bye too, but, playing their best baseball and not making mistakes.
So 4-0 at the moment. Texas, right as we speak, has made a pitching change. Billy, did I see right? They started a walk-on today?
Yeah, walk-on Ethan Walker. Yeah, he actually started his career at Walter State, a school in Tennessee, ended up at Texas, and Harrison did a pretty good job of shutting down a really good Tennessee offense.
Yeah, and talking to, Texas pitching coach Max Weiner before the game, just about kind of what their philosophy was going into the game, kind of how they wanted to approach this strategically from the pitching side. He goes, yeah, we're starting this lefty that, he's really high on. He loves what he kind of has. It's so unique, that low sidearm lefty that he said he's got the widest, release point that TrackMan has picked up for them this season, just as far away from, the center of the mound as possible. And, it's a 5.5 height-wise release height too, which is just super unique. And you don't really see that at all. And I don't think Tennessee's seen that all year, let alone, most of, if all teams have seen something like that. And I love the arsenal he's got. He's not going to blow you away with velocity, because that's not who he is, but just as a lefty like that, starting kind of behind the lefty or just way in the other batter's box as a righty, doing a really good job of mixing, matching, off speed with his velocity. I think he's been up to about 87, 88. But, he's got to really slow down those bats in his hands with his, frisbee slider and changeup that's been really playing really well and keeping Tennessee off balance, and just the approach that I think Texas's pitching staff has as a whole. I mean, talking to Max Weiner a lot this season, just, dominating the zone and just, letting the stuff play in the zone and just trusting it and believing and confidence. They've really been able to do that and execute that. And Ethan Walker, like you said, started at Walter State. He was a JUCO walk-on. He redshirted in 2023 at Walter State, walking on there. Pitched, I don't want to say a ton in 2024, but I think it was 13 appearances, about maybe 20 or 30 innings. But, he said he recruited him and he really liked the grit and kind of style of which, he plays the game, and just his passion and his heart. And, he saw something that was unique, and he's like, I can really, really do something with that and kind of and take it to another level. And Max Weiner and, Texas development has really done that. And obviously, I mean, he comes in here with 6.2 innings pitched in the season. He hasn't pitched, but really the last couple of weeks, if anything, but they just love kind of the uniqueness of it. And I think it goes to show that, Texas maybe is a little bit deeper than people think on the mound. And, having a guy like this that, has basically no innings on his belt and can pitch like this against a lineup like Tennessee that I believe, whether they hit or not, I believe talent-wise, this Tennessee lineup is an Omaha caliber lineup. It's just about obviously putting all the pieces together. But Ethan Walker's done a phenomenal job. I think impressed a ton of people on both sides of the ball about just how much poise he has. He looks so confident. He didn't look frazzled at all. Obviously, the more, longer he pitches, the more confidence he's going to build. But he looks really under control and, in command of all his pitches and executing that throughout the zone.
4 1/3 of one-hit baseball before they got him out of there. So a job well done, clearly on some sort of a count.
Opener too, is what they told us.
I'm sorry, say that again if you will.
No, yeah. Talking to Texas before the game, Max Weiner said he was just going to be kind of an opener and going to go from there. And obviously, if he's pitching well, they're going to keep him in. But I think they were pleasantly surprised with how much they could get out of him, saving, the bullpen and kind of how they want to approach things, whether they're, up or down, obviously up in this situation. But he's getting a lot of links that I think people were not anticipating.
So Vandy, Oklahoma is the game after this one. Harrison, give me some thoughts on it in a series where they played earlier and Oklahoma took 2 out of 3.
Yeah, I think it's, Oklahoma's coming in this series, their first SEC tournament, or coming into this tournament, their first SEC tournament. They're 2-0, in such because they come into the conference this year. They're playing great baseball. I mean, obviously you get another phenomenal start from Kyson Witherspoon, who shuts down Georgia for the second time this season, doing it a completely different way. Pitching, talking to Wes Johnson after the game, pitching completely backwards and just overwhelming them with off speed and just the right on right changeup that he's been able to locate so well last game versus Georgia. Give him a lot of links too, so it saves Oklahoma's bullpen a ton and gives them a lot of options and kind of flexibility going in this game versus Vanderbilt and the rest of the way if they continue to win. But I think Vanderbilt comes in hungry. I mean, they play phenomenally well here in Hoover, I believe, and they're top 5 in wins in the SEC tournament all time. And I think top 5 in titles as well in the SEC tournament. But Tim Corbin's one of those, he's the most veteran coach, one of the most veteran coaches in the league and around the college baseball. And with the starting rotation that they have of J.D. Thompson, Cody Balker, and Connor Fennell, one of the best, I think, Sunday Game 3 guys in the conference as a high floor and just stability, what he's given week in, week out. I think they got a lot of flexibility on that side of the ball as well. But it's all going to come down to, I think, the bats for both teams, because we've seen, the highs of both teams scoring double-digit runs and the lows of, scoring, only putting together a couple hits and, maybe a run or two. But Vanderbilt's offense has been playing way different in the past few weeks than it has this entire season. It's picked up a lot. And it's going to be, like I said, about who can put more runs on the board, because this pitching staff is elite on both sides and with a lot of options coming out of the bullpen too.
Harrison, again, appreciate you for hopping on. Texas A&M got a big win earlier today over Auburn. How do you feel about their chances? Do they have to get to Sunday? And some people are saying they got to get to Sunday and win it all, win the championship to be in the tournament. How do you feel about their tournament chances now that they've picked up a couple of wins?
I think you got to be feeling good about it as it's going so far right now. I think they at least need one more win, just like on that bubble, and kind of help them on that bubble with another win, especially a win versus, a very talented and top-ranked in the country LSU team, what that would mean, especially on a neutral site in the SEC tournament. I think that would play a long way. But, I mean, you got to keep note. I mean, Jace Lavalette leaving the game with his hit by a pitch in the hand, and, in the dugout, seeing him wrapped up with like a cast on his hand, covering 2 of his fingers, and it looks like a cast about halfway up his forearm. I mean, no matter whether he's, in a slump like he was, it felt like after the second at bat of the Missouri series to this point where he had the home run in Game 1 against Mississippi State, a huge slump. I think it's just his presence in the lineup and in the field is so monumental that it's going to be tough to, go deep in this tournament without him. And, especially play a team like LSU with, full rest and face their weekend rotation, basically, of everyone out of the bullpen, their best guys, if they want to use them or if they decide to, and probably facing Cade Anderson. It's going to be a tough bargain to overcome and just put up some runs. But they've been playing great baseball here. I had them winning against Mississippi State and then beating Auburn too. So I had them winning 2 games. I have them losing to LSU, but I mean, their backs against the wall. This is their season on the line. Every game is a final game for them, it feels like, and they're playing that way. And just, you can tell it feels like they're playing with a little bit of new energy. But like I said, that loss to Jace Lavalette and what that's going to mean for them is going to be crucial for, the rest of the tournament and if they make it to the NCAA tournament.
You mentioned LSU. We know how good they are. We know how good Texas is. Also Arkansas, obviously Vandy. You got Georgia in there. How many SEC teams do you think are good enough to make it to Omaha?
Great question. I mean, was it 2 years ago we had 5, I believe. Last year we had 4. Obviously it just feels like a luxury of riches in the SEC if you had to explain what the conference is as a whole. But this year, I mean, going down the board, Texas, Arkansas, LSU, I'm still confident that if Tennessee, is playing their best baseball, they can absolutely go on a run to Omaha. So make that 4. Obviously Auburn too. They've been playing great. They play a different style. It's not like a bully ball. They just do a lot of really great. They do a lot of little things well and have a really high floor, it feels like. But I don't think they have as high as a ceiling as, in Arkansas and LSU. But, the way that Vanderbilt's been playing too, I think that, you have to have them in that conversation too if they continue to swing it like they have the past couple weeks. So, I mean, you can be looking at like 6 SEC teams that have realistic chances and, talent in the way that they play to make it to Omaha.
Harrison, great report. Again, thank you for taking the time to come on with us. Hope we're able to do this again tomorrow. Thanks for the visit.
Yeah, absolutely. And, looking forward to jumping on next time. I think we can definitely get it done tomorrow. And another great day in Hoover, great weather, and, elite baseball against, the best competition in the country. And it's only it only prepares you. This just feels like super regional baseball. I mean, obviously the level of talent you're playing against, but just kind of the atmosphere and what it means. The people that think that the SEC tournament doesn't matter, there's obviously different strategies and approaches to it, but I think coaches and players do take it seriously because, that's just the pedigree of who they are as athletes and competitors and coaches. Playing the SEC, you can't take anything for granted, and I don't think any of them do. So it's a blast to cover, and appreciate you guys having me on.
No, it's the other way around. Thank you for coming on. Talk to you tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
Harrison Fant from SEC Unfiltered joining us on the show. After the break, a little more talk. Then we go back to Murfreesboro for a final report on the spring fling this afternoon. And, of course, Plaster Bet of the Day, which, frankly, has gone in the toilet. This is 94.9 The Fan.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
The Nashville Cats are charging towards the playoffs. Tune in for their next game against Corpus Christi Sunday, June 1st at 5 p.m. Catch the live play-by-play action on Totally Hits 93.3. For tickets, go to NashvilleCats.com. That's NashvilleCats.com.
This is my buddy Stan Harrison from Apple Collision Centers. Recently, you've been talking to me about companies that have a fleet of trucks and they're always in need of repairs.
That's right, George. We understand that nobody likes to deal with the auto body repair process. We try to simplify that at our 3 convenient locations. We work with all major insurance companies. We help to ease the stress of the auto body repair process. We're located in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. If you need our services, please stop by and see us.
And how convenient that we have that in the background. Now, seriously, these are good folks. They do really good work. Give them a holler.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2025 season. Create a summer of memories at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, and more. Tickets are on sale now.
At Wilson Bank and Trust, we believe you shouldn't have to choose between personal service and digital solutions. As your local independent bank, we're proud to offer the relationships and trusted service you expect, along with the tools and technology that keep you moving forward. So whether you're growing a business, buying a home, or planning for the future, we're here to help. Because this isn't just where we work, it's where we live too. Wilson Bank and Trust, here to get you there. Member FDIC. Proud to offer the relationships and trusted service you expect, along with the tools and technology that keep you moving forward. So whether you're growing a business, buying a home, or planning for the future, we're here to help. Because this isn't just where we work, it's where we live too. Wilson Bank and Trust, here to get you there. Member FDIC.
A lot of people want to define teams by singular performances.
Sports. Did he not go back into the game after that interception?
Let's get this turned around. And we're all saying, no, they don't.
Here.
You thought you were on your way.
Your sports live here.
On ESPN 94.9.
And the Game Nashville Sports Network. It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Well, here's one you don't hear very often. The Tennessee-Texas game is in a delay.
Not
Kelly.
for weather, but for the home plate umpire that was hit by a foul tip and had to enter concussion protocol. So I'm assuming they brought in a backup umpire.
That's what it looks like. Wow.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
I don't either.
I've never seen it.
I mean, you've seen overheat, like umpires been overheated, and in baseball typically has backup emergency umpires, right? I don't know at the college level if that's uniform. I know at the big league level.
I don't think on the big league level there is. I think they basically go with 3 until the next day.
They tell one of the
when they
outfield
can
guys
fly where they can fly one in.
Yeah. Gosh, yeah.
Man,
hope he's okay because they showed the replay. He got nailed by that.
So Tennessee is down 4-0 right now. They have first and second with 1 out in the 5th inning in a game where either they need to win to get in as far as hosting a regional, or they've already gotten in and we don't know it. It's one of those iffy jobs where you might not know until Monday.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're in for sure, though, right? We're just talking about a regional. Yeah.
We're
We're just talking about hosting a regional. Yeah.
Which is a huge piece of this.
Yeah.
Right.
So think about this. We are 6 weeks roughly away from SEC football media days. And can you imagine the level of questions that are going to be tossed out there? First of all, Tennessee, unless Josh Heupel says, I'm not talking about Nico, so don't ask it, he's going to get bombarded.
So quit asking.
Yeah, the commissioner is going to get bombarded with all this NIL stuff. And are there any answers in sight? And I'll admit, Kelly, I am a little like Tony. I love the games. They're fun to watch. They will always be fun to watch. But like him, I'm tired of this.
It's starting to sour, I'm telling you. Everybody that is our age. Now, I don't know about Billy. What are you thinking? What do your peers think about this stuff? Because it's like y'all didn't grow up like we grew up. Y'all grew up in a different age, and you're growing up with all this technology and all this stuff. So this is kind of common to you guys. How does your peer group feel about all this NIL stuff?
There's definitely not the belief of the older people that this is absolutely ridiculous and has to be stopped. But I think there's a lot of jealousy, like especially I'm not a college athlete. I got a couple of brothers that play at a lower level, and they're not into NIL deals. But I can't imagine it would probably help if I had a close friend or a brother or a cousin or somebody that dealt with it. You probably, like with your son, Kelly, I guess he probably hasn't dealt with a bunch of NIL, but the portal stuff, right? He's entered the portal, right? So that, I think the NIL stuff, there's not as big of an issue because I think there's a lot of players and people my age that do believe players should be paid, and I don't think there's a big part of that. Not that you guys don't, but the portal, I think there's more of a universal opinion that the portal is and has gotten ridiculous. I think so.
I will say this, Billy, about the portal. Like, there's some good things about the portal and there's some bad things about the portal. I can remember, just giving y'all an example, I can remember one of my good friends who was a tight end in high school. He kind of got on the bad side of Coach Donnelly, and you can imagine how that was, George. You can imagine that. But he had no shot to go anywhere else. Like, you would have to sit out a year, and it's just a bunch of hoopla. And there's like if he was in today playing and the head coach didn't like him, then you got an opportunity to go somewhere else, and maybe it's a different scene for you, and maybe you can show off your talent. But kind of when you got in a doghouse back in the day like that, you just couldn't go anywhere. There was nowhere for you to go. You didn't have any tape, so nobody really knew anything about you. So there are some good things about the transfer portal, but when you start, and I brought it up today when I was on the phone, like the coaches and all this NIL stuff and all this transfer portal, the coaches started all this, George. They're the ones, and I use Bobby Petrino for example. He went into the Atlanta Falcons locker room and said, I'm going to be here, because all them guys had heard the rumors about him leaving. He said, I'm going to be here. Well, 3 hours later, he's in Fayetteville, Arkansas. So all this stuff is going on. Like contracts meant nothing to these guys, and now all these coaches are getting upset about these players, and they're saying, "Well, you just can't do this." Well, you know what? You guys started it. I totally understand that. It's not the players' fault; it's the system's fault. But I don't know. It's fatiguing to me. I'm an old school guy. I'm a traditional guy. I love college sports. I love sports in general. I love football. I was a football player, and I didn't think you could mess it up like the NCAA has messed it up right now. And it's one of the biggest sports in the world right now. You got the NFL, you got college Division I football, but I don't know how much longer that they can keep this up. Because I think there's going to be Tonys or there's going to be Georges of the world that say, I'm fed up. And I've told y'all this before. Until you stop watching, they're going to keep doing it. The way that you stop it is quit watching TV. And you might have a mass exodus at some point, but right now you don't.
Tennessee has begun a rally with a bases loaded 2-run single. They're now down 4-2. First and second, 1 out, 5th inning.
Here come the Vols.
Nice. Might be. I mean, this feels like where they're either going to make the run or not make the run.
Yeah.
Do y'all think they've got to win this game to host a regional? Do y'all think that?
I do think that. I think they've got to win. Because what was the number? 5 of the last 6 series inside the conference they have lost. And I don't think that the committee is going to look well on that as far as hosting. Anyway, I got to go to Murfreesboro. Hugh Greenfield is covering the state title matchup in soccer between MBA and McCallie. Hugh, tell us what's going on there.
NBA is up 1-0 with a goal in the first 5 minutes. It just got to halftime. Orange is blue. They're good crowd here. They showed up a little late. It's a lot of students hanging on the gates they got put up in the front row.
So 1-0 NBA at halftime, and I got to ask this because I honestly don't know the rule. On the high school level, how long's a soccer game?
70 minutes. So 35 and 35.
Where on the professional level, for instance, Nashville SC, it's 90, and then the amount of penalty time. And I guess same thing on the high school level.
Yeah, there's not penalty time, at least not in the first half. It's a running clock until the last 5 minutes, and then they stop it for subs and if the ball goes out of bounds.
Okay, anything else you want to share with us?
That's about all I got for you.
Beautiful. Good enough. Wish the Big Red luck.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me on.
Hugh Greenfield reporting live from the state title game in soccer between MBA and McCallie. We'll go to our final break, and then Plaster Bet of the Day, such as it is coming up next on 94.9 The Fan.
Favorite sports?
How about sports? You follow sports?
We probably have it. Just log on to the Information Superhighway. Oh, they don't call it that anymore?
To start, press any key. Where's the any key?
Head to thegamenashville.com.
The password, we're in.
You'll find what time your game starts and what station it's on.
Oh, they have the internet on computers now.
That's what's up. Your sports live here.
What an age we live in.
On the Game Nashville Sports Network.
It's Family Leisure's 34th Memorial Day sale.
Memorial Day means summer is finally here. So get your family swimming now. DIY pools start at just $19.99. 24-foot pools are only $29.99 installed with 6 months, same as cash.
Family Leisure has great prices on spas and hot tubs in stock and ready for immediate delivery. Spas start at only $29.99. Family Leisure has the spa you want at guaranteed low prices.
Well, while the kids are in the pool and you're in the hot tub, I want to be in of new patio furniture. Family Leisure has hundreds of sets from all the best brands on sale at guaranteed low prices.
The Sabre infrared grill starts at only $14.99. Complete Bull Grill Island start at only $39.99. Installed with a Sabre grill head.
Diamond Point wood play gyms at only $24.99 installed.
Pool tables, massage chairs, arcade games, and more on sale now.
That's Family Leisure, 2 huge locations, Antioch and Franklin.
It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Final segment on a Thursday. Time now for Bet of the Day, brought to you by Burt Durham Injury Law. We take a quick look at what happened last night. It was an 0-2 night.
Can we admit that I got screwed on the Knicks?
Yeah, but
they got to finish. They got to finish, George.
16 with 2 minutes left.
Hey, and another thing I didn't bring up yesterday, Billy, but I gotta bring this up. Didn't you say Carolina the other night was a book it?
Did George say it was a book it?
He did say that he was a book it. Did he not?
Yeah.
I think he did book that.
He did.
Yes.
Your booking sucks right now, George. You better stop that.
Booking a lot of losses.
I'll be glad that you're not on tomorrow. Okay, so we got 2 plays tonight. Let's show them the first one. I'm taking Oklahoma City again. Now, what could cause me to be wrong? Well, first of all, Anthony Edwards goes crazy. Very capable of doing that. The other one that Minnesota desperately needs is the 6th man off the bench, Naz Reid. When Naz Reid is on fire, he'll just dump about 8 threes on you, and you're like, how are we going to beat him? Well, if those things happen, I'm going to be wrong. But here's the thing that I think is going to win the day. Oklahoma City, they play great defense. Maybe the best defense in the NBA. They're long, they're athletic, and on the back end of it, they got Chet Holmgren, sorry.
And
he's really good.
They've got a ton of depth.
So I'm taking the Thunder again. Now let's go to the NHL game where I am changing my tune because I'm sick of going against the Panthers and having Kelly laugh at me.
Well, you booked it. I mean, that was the whole thing. You act like you know something, some inside information, and you start booking stuff, and your booking sucks.
Kelly, what inside info would I have on Florida?
I don't know. I'm just you have that you just brood of confidence when you say I book it. I'm booking it. You know what I'm saying? And now the Hurricanes are going to win tonight, so it doesn't matter.
Wow, I don't like your attitude.
Well, I mean, it is what it is. At least I'm upfront about my attitude, you know?
Yeah, it is bad. You need to improve on it. Billy, the good news is no Kelly tomorrow.
Let's go, baby.
We got a lot to do, though, tomorrow.
Okay, Billy. I'll remember that.
Yeah.
Not afraid to choke an old man.
Oh, here we go. You got to stop using my stuff because next week when I see you at the golf course, when we're doing the 1025 deal on the golf course, I may heckle you quite a bit.
Yeah.
I may choke you.
If you lose to George.
Wow.
If I lose to George, I'm never picking up a stick again. But this is a scramble, I'm sure.
Which will help me greatly.
Yeah, we're not playing each other. Billy, we're not playing each other. So if George were to beat me, I believe I would set my sticks down and never pick it up again.
Are we playing best ball out of this group?
I don't know, but let's end the show, shall we? This seems like a good time to say.
You have the power to do so.
Thank you for your time this time. Until next time, have a good time. See you tomorrow.
See ya.